I'll show you how to clean or replace the air filter in a Ford Focus in this video. The engine is a 2-litre Zetec in a Mark I Focus, by the way, although other cars will be similar. Now you'd want to have a look at the filter and the airbox, roughly speaking, with every oil change, maybe every second. So the air filter, the air intake and filter on this car is here at the left side, behind the battery. The filter is inside that box, which bolts together in two halves, which we are going to take apart. So you will need either a flat blade screwdriver or preferably an 8mm hex socket with a small ratchet handle, and the socket is just easier to use. So go around all of the bolts. There are 4 in total, 1 on each corner, and crack the bolts loose. Now they're not tight, so this is pretty easy to do. Then you can undo and remove them by hand, and do this with a little care as you take them out, as you don't want to drop a bolt because it could end up somewhere awkward. Once the bolts are out, the box will be separable, and it'll lift up easily at the outside and you'll be able to see the filter. Be careful at this stage because you will probably find that the cable loom to the MAF sensor is tight enough on the inside that it'll prevent the inside being lifted up as much as the outside. Though you don't want to pull on that lest you end up damaging the wiring. There is enough room, however, to easily pull the filter out from the outside. So this is the filter. It's a typical square flat type. Air passes through from the bottom and out the top. So the bottom is what will be dirty. Now you may be intending to replace this with a new filter, and that's fine. But I will say here that air filters are commonly replaced too often. They're a cheap and easy resale item for garages, so they often encourage owners to agree to that. But it turns out actually that you can go a very long time on a filter before it really wants renewing, especially on standard roads and sort of standard conditions. I'll also say, if you are replacing it, stay away from performance boy racer type filters, as they're mostly bunk. What you want as a replacement is just a good quality paper filter from any reputable OEM supplier. As I was saying before, this MAF sensor stops the upper half of the box from being lifted properly clear, and I suggest you disconnect it if you want to get into the box to clean it out. It just unplugs easily, and then the air intake duct will flex around. And the bottom of the airbox may be full of rubbish like leaves and dirt, so pull all that out and maybe use a vacuum cleaner on it. The upper half of the box, on the other hand, will be clean, as that's after the filter in the airflow. If you look down the duct, by the way, you will be able to see the business parts of the MAF sensor. I suggest that this wants cleaning from time to time as well. What you can do at this point is just examine the insides of the airbox and the ducting around the area, and just check that it's clean and not oily. If there's any oil present, then that's probably from the PCV or the EGR system getting blown back up the air intake, and your MAF sensor will want cleaning if that's the case. Now I'll have a companion video up which I will link to below, which will cover that topic properly. Okay, so take your new or cleaned filter and place it back into position. It sits in a very obvious way. The only thing to get right really is the rubber seal around the edge of the filter being properly lined up with the box edges. Now this is important as it does need to seal airtight so that air doesn't leak into the intake behind the filter, but it's pretty hard to get that wrong on this car. Then you can place the airbox halves back together, again taking care to line the edges up properly. And just place the upper box straight down on top of the lower half. Don't mash them together and then try to slide it around to line it up, as that could push the filter seal out of placement. Then you can put the 4 corner bolts back in. Just do them up by hand to begin with, to check the alignment of everything. And then you can put the socket handle on them to get them down tight. Now, do not use much force as you tighten them. All you're really doing is compressing the seal of the filter down and joining up the edges of the box. If you over tighten things, then you risk cracking the plastic. After that, all that's left to do is reconnect the MAF plug, don't forget that, and you're done. Make sure you've removed all your tools from the engine bay and close the bonnet, and then you're good to go. Okay, hope that was helpful. Have fun.